Well, Lego Lord of the Rings did it! It infected me real good with a hankering for more Lego No Dying challenges within the universe of wizards, hobbits, and dwarves. Rising to meet my want is the Lego Hobbit, the adventure that took place decades before Lord of the Rings. The rules are the same as ever with these Lego adventures. Do not die. If I do die, I restart the entire challenge until I beat the full story of 16 levels without a single death. The adventure won't wait for us, so let's get right into the thick of it. Before any quest can be undertaken, there must be a reason for the quest, and here in this mighty dwarf kingdom, we're about to get our reason. The dwarves are so well off that this is the only Lego game I know of that introduces the loot system, where more than just collecting all the studs a dwarf can imagine, we now also collect materials such as rare ores, wood, rope, and of course, the most valuable loot of all, bread. Using these materials, we can build intricate Legos and time trials that really put my observation and reaction skills to the test, and cost me some hair as I rip it out watching the money reward reduce with every failure. That's to be the least of my worries, as that doesn't make for much of an adventure in itself. But a huge red dragon, Smaug, is here to change that in the Dwarven Kingdom forever. And not just interior design wise, though he certainly does lots of that too. Do we dwarves go uninvited into your Dragon Kingdom and wreck everything? No, but that's probably because we die horribly if we tried. It's one thing to kill the guards and the people of this realm, it's another thing to cause so much property damage. You know, I don't think he's listening. Despite what one might imagine in a deadly dragon invasion, loss of life is not much of a worry for our main dwarves, as the dragon is more interested in swimming in his newly gained gold, Scrooge McDuck style, than hunting the previous owners of said gold. That may be because we're so short and he's so big, causing him not to notice us, so once he does take notice, the chase commences. I shed a single ratly tear at having to leave 2 purple studs behind in my hurry to survive. I truly understand now how the dwarves must feel. Thankfully though, survive I do, as these dwarves can really book it, despite their short legs, and while they reel from the loss of their kingdom, we can jump 171 years into the true start of our journey with little Bilbo Baggins, the Hobbit. Our reluctant hero of this tale, Bilbo, is about to feast on a still living shark, which I feel must be a moral dilemma when he's interrupted by the arrival of Dwalin, the first of many dwarves to arrive uninvited. Seems they learned a thing or two from Smaug's rude entry, including partaking in destroying most of Bilbo's home. But to be fair, Bilbo does much of the smashing himself, and he might be to blame for putting his furniture right in the middle of the walkway. In the confusion, the shark must have had the wisdom to slip out of there, leaving the dwarves without dinner, so this level consists of ruining Bilbo's home, collecting what little food he has left, and cleaning dishes. All in all, the only threat here is to Bilbo's mental health. As it turns out, the dwarves have been invited, not by the owner of the house, but by Gandalf the Grey, the wizard whose favorite hobby seems to be collecting hobbits to throw at his problems. To be fair to him, the track record of throwing hobbits at issues and coming out ahead really does seem to be working out. Obviously, we didn't experience the loss of the Dwarf Kingdom earlier for the fun of it, but to show us what we're after now. This band of dwarves, led by Thorin Oakenshield, Gandalf, and now Bilbo, after some deliberation, set out to retake the kingdom from the fierce dragon. It's probably best to skedaddle out of town anyway, as Bilbo might be in trouble after he shoves a sleeping hobbit off a bridge, causing him to drown and die, before he respawns, contemplates the horror of his last moments, and then decides the risk was worth it as he climbs back onto the bridge to nap. I respect his single-minded focus. Catching up with the dwarf party, we camp for the evening. The first portion of the level involves a wholesome scenario as a few of the dwarves and Bilbo team up to climb a hill and retrieve fruit to feed one of the horses. The second half is a traumatic flashback to when the dwarves and orcs went to war against one another. As any Lego game, as long as I keep swinging with reckless abandon, then I'm safe from most melee attacks, but still vulnerable to large enemies and projectiles. Which, much to my sorrow, is exactly what the enemy force brings against me. An unexpected feature in this game is literally the power of friendship, as the dwarves can join hands and swing together, dealing damage to the bigger enemies like trolls and breaking through walls. but the power of friendship has a great cost, as it removes the invulnerability that comes from swinging non-stop and makes me a bigger target, so I'm learning to instead appreciate the power of self-reliance. Much safer that way. The only way I can stay alive, something I keep coming quite close to not being, is by staying on the move, and hunting down any orc I can see, hoping that they will drop hearts for me to replenish my health. Many do, but it is not enough. As I slay the last troll, I die myself, because I'm still being attacked while I'm regaining control of my character. Level 3 and already broken! How can you die in a memory? I never do get that.
Were you killed?
Sadly, yes. But I lived.
Restarting, I miraculously survived the perils of the dinner party, watch as Bilbo somehow restrains himself from pushing that hobbit off the bridge again, and, as I died so early in the game, it only takes 30 minutes before I'm reliving the dwarf-orc battle. Now knowing better, the moment I can quit the power of friendship, I do, reducing how vulnerable I am, and with the archers being my primary source of pain, they're my focus as I race to bring them out into the open so I may slay them. Trying to team up with Thorin to best the troll says it's not happening, and interrupts us, nearly killing me. But by constantly switching between the dwarves, I can keep my distance from the troll, regain my health off of his smaller comrades, and then team up to put him down. With the trolls and the archers slain, I'm not in much danger any longer, and can watch as Grandpapa, Dwarf King, is punted into the sunset by Azog, leader of the orcs. I'm really not sure why Thorin is so upset. Your Legos! Your grandpa's clearly fine, if a little disoriented. Is it maybe the indignity of it all? Seeking to avenge that indignity, Azog is not nearly the threat the trolls were, as he's mostly a battle of button mashing. Although I do worry about being smashed into rubble by him, that's easily avoided if I switch characters whenever he throws. Hacking off the Great Orc's hand, we win the day and can return to the present, hopeful that we'll never see that guy again. Spoilers, he keeps popping back up like a bad case of acne. But that's for future us. Now crossing into Trollshaws, it's not really a surprise to discover trolls. These 3 trolls with the most basic human names ever, William, Tom, and Bert, or do we have really basic troll names? Who can say? Anyway, these 3 have captured 2 of our horses, so we have to sneak around the trolls and rescue them. It's quite simple to do, as the trolls have the worst hearing imaginable, as we break all their stuff without consequence and easily bypass them without threat. Until Bilbo heroically decides to save an adorable little sheep as well, which I'm all for, but less for him trying to pull the troll's knife right off of them. There had to have been a smarter way to do this. He rolls a critical failure on this sleight of hand check and becomes covered in troll snot for his troubles. Ugh! I'd rather have been eaten immediately. Now needing to pull our hobbit friend out of the fire, it's time to forego stealth and go in with violence. The troll's attacks are slow and simple to dodge, making our rescue seemingly quite easy, with a chicken catapult and bashing away on their heads. Unfortunately, once again, our cinematic selves are less successful as the trolls threaten to murder Bilbo, forcing the dwarves to surrender, so instead of just Bilbo dying, they can all die together as a found family. How wholesome. Thankfully, their sacrifice doesn't need to go that far, as Gandalf rescues the dwarves from their failed rescue of Bilbo from his failed rescue of the sheep. Who was the sheep rescuing? But who will rescue Bilbo from his memories of being used as a troll tissue? Pilfering the troll's cave for new weapons will have to soothe the hobbit's trauma for now, as we have medical duty to report for. Radagast, Gandalf's wild wizard counterpart, has decided the quest to take the dwarven home back from a mighty, near-invincible dragon is not enough of a danger, and is here to warn of a different, sinister danger rising. But he's not winning any prizes for driving and has left his rabbits every which way, so we gotta heal them, all while fending off warg attacks. The wargs don't pile in too aggressively, and a single boop will send them off running, so it isn't long before the rabbits are cured. As Radagast leads the orc scouts away, the dwarves seek shelter from further attack, and it's not the dwarves that worry me, but the new wizard that does. In order to escape, he has to slay 3 orc pursuers with the old 1-2 fisticuffs, and that isn't trouble in itself, but for the fact that every orc lands one unavoidable strike on me when I land on top of them. Leaving myself so close to death isn't ideal, so to avoid that unfortunate circumstance, I switch to the dwarves and kill off the attacking orcs in order to replenish my health safely before switching back and finishing the job. Before things get much more dangerous for us, elves intervene and drive off the raiders, allowing us sanctuary with them. Maybe it's not the best way to repay their kindness by destroying much of their furniture, their plants, and murdering a lone sleeping elf, but it's what we choose to do anyway. Whether decades in the future with Frodo or here with Thorin, rest assured, repaying elven hospitality in a reasonable manner is not my specialty. Venturing on before the elves decide to take their probably well-deserved revenge, the dwarves come across two rock giants having a bit of a disagreement. I am truly very curious about the science of these creatures. How do they work? What is their biology? But they seem a bit too busy for me to question, and I'm terrified of falling, so it's better to hurry on and go get captured by goblins instead. While Bilbo creates elaborate crafts to answer Gollum's riddles instead of simply verbally giving the answers, the rest of the party fights for their lives against the goblin horde. The goblins aren't much trouble to our heroic dwarves, but the haphazard way they've built their home terrifies me, as I know my most common form of death in all games is by falling. But that knowledge is what keeps me from acting rashly, and since the goblins take their time hunting us, I can take my time navigating the maze of their home. The swinging bridge with attacking goblins on it that ignore my arrows I could have done without, but at least switching to a sword-wielding dwarf lets me survive it. When we're almost home free, the Goblin King drops down and blocks us from escape. I'm really not interested in seeing whether that spiked club will one-shot me, thank you very much. So how about we just pretend I'm terribly contagious, and you stay far, far away from me, buddy. Por favor. As the Gross King isn't interested in minding my personal space, I constantly jump away, barely keeping my distance in this small space, but doing so enough that the Goblin King leaves himself vulnerable and beatable. Only for Azog and the orcs to finally catch up with us just as we escape, so we can never have a moment of rest. Booping his wargs away, we take to the trees and chuck bombs down upon the orcs before they can eliminate us. Just one slight complication to this. We forgot fire and trees do not go well together, and now it seems we've eliminated ourselves. While the rest of the dwarves hang out, Thorin and Bilbo take the fight to Azog. I already beat this guy years back and he's still not learning any new tricks, so it only takes a moment to beat him again. Only for Thorin to lose anyway, as the plot demands it, but that's why he has friends to save his bacon. Azog cannot compete, so he sends in his soldiers to kill us, but they're even worse at the job than he is. We can then all watch with utter amazement as Bilbo boxing champ Baggins bare-knuckle beats the bloody blueberries out of Azog's warg. I have no doubt Bilbo would have beaten the entire orc crew down as well, but it's too early in our story for that, so the eagles magically intervene to save the orcs from their certain death, whisking the dwarf party away. After murdering a random innocent traveler to quench Bilbo's bloodthirst, as he didn't get to finish off the orcs, the dwarves find themselves the designated prey of a shape-shifting bear man. Why does everything we meet want to kill us? Where are the reasonable people? And why does this man have bees outside his house that keep stealing the key away and not letting us in? Guard bees are perhaps more unorthodox than guard dogs, but you better believe they sure take their job seriously. Finally getting the key, we get inside, wait the angry bear man out, and then set off into the dark scary forest to fight giant spiders, because apparently every dark scary woods has giant spiders. Running in aggressively is a good way to get yourself webbed up and dead, which I very nearly do, only preventing death by switching quickly to Bilbo, sneaking in, and dispatching the spiders from stealth. Too bad for them, they lack the spider sense that Spider-Man has, but I suppose they do make up for it in numbers and size. An advantage they lose when two elves show up and pull the dwarves out of their predicament, so they can place them neatly into a new predicament by imprisoning them. One which we shall easily escape through good old-fashioned barrel riding, which may not have been the brightest course of action, as now it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Except, of course, we're dwarves, not fish, in case you didn't notice that earlier. An easy way to tell us apart is, at least unlike fish, we can climb out of the barrels and fight back. So that's one more victory for dwarves over fish kind. Take that, you water breathers! Then I rapidly fire away with my bow without a care, as I trust the game's auto-targeting system as we float down the river into safety. minus a shark attack, but that's no biggie. I wonder if that's the same shark from the dinner party back for his revenge. We may never know, but for my headcanon, I'm gonna say yes. Purchasing our way with a smuggler into the nearby lake town, we use our weapons to kill the guards so we can have even more weapons, as one can never have enough weapons. And then we head on our way to Smaug to finish this. But as Keely has been wounded by the earlier orc chase, he must stay behind, and it's here where we find our next bit of trouble. No, not the sheep riding. That's just a fun way to spend my time, though I'm sure Keely wouldn't like to know this is what we're doing instead of making medicine for him. But he doesn't need to know. Just have some fun for a bit. It's been a hard adventure. Made harder because of this pig. Just kindly give me the flowers, you darn evil pig. Technically, these flowers do belong to you, and we're the evil ones for thieving them, but it's for a good cause. And yet, I still feel guilty leaving him flowerless. There's no time to think about that, as we have bigger issues in the form of orcs swarming all over us. Keely may be cured, but there's plenty of time to get shot again. The elves are here to save our hides, but who's gonna save theirs? The orcs start the fight off, landing a couple blows on me to my surprise, though I'm able to pull through and regain my health off their fallen. Still, gravity beckons me to my death, and I take it slow so as not to answer that call, only to lose 3/4 of my health to orc archers a second later. Alright, now you guys have me shaking in my little elven booties. I'm just happy Bolg, son of Azog, has his papa's exact moveset, which means I can button mash my way out of trouble with him, and praise my lucky stars that the last section of orc reinforcements are sword wielders. This makes it an easy win over Bolg. Even though it's easy, it would have been nice if my elf backup had helped instead of just standing there. It might have kept Bolg from escaping. But he's not our worry anymore, as the game doesn't involve the third Hobbit film, despite how it was supposed to be added later as DLC. That means less danger for us, I suppose. There's plenty of danger as is when we switch over to Gandalf and Radagast as they investigate a darkness rising in this fortress. My old nemesis, Gravity, really is trying to get me, but I refuse to let it have me. Gandalf can't say the same. Despite me so carefully getting past Gravity's call, Gandalf refused to follow me, and as I need him, I have to switch back and do the whole thing again, just to really keep me on edge. Literally and mentally. That wasn't so bad, all things considered. Neither is the sudden reappearance of Azog with the exact same moveset, meaning he's as easy as ever. You really can't teach an old orc new tricks, it seems. Come on, Azog, you're just embarrassing yourself now, buddy. Go away. The infight against waves of orcs and Sauron himself, though, that is much worse for me. Sauron doesn't worry me too much, though I must stay on the move and keep an eye out for his blast, which I can either deflect or dodge. But the orcs, they're the real problem, surprisingly. Enemies that I normally don't have any trouble with, these orcs I do, as the invincibility I gain from attacking endlessly won't work if I'm not doing melee attacks. Something the wizards aren't guaranteed to do, as they prefer to switch back and forth between their fancy little spells and their melee. Show-offs are gonna get us killed. Quickly switching between characters and keeping my distance to maximize the chance I'll kill the orcs before they can reach me. It's a fight barely won, and only off the hearts of my enemies, but a win is a win. For me anyway. Gandalf doesn't seem like he's having a great time, but that's not our worry anymore. Back to the dwarves we go. The second to final level is simply a matter of climbing up to the entrance into the mountain, and that's all puzzles with no real threat to be had. It's within the mountain where our threat lays, lurking and ready to roast us. Like, literally roast us. It would be a lot easier to endure if Smaug just started insulting us and our hobbit mama, I suppose. I'm hyper aware that something as big as this dragon will certainly one-shot us if he spots us, so I take my time and make sure he never does. It's only a matter of watching him carefully and running as he looks past the area next to us and repeat that a couple times till we're out of danger. Well, immediate danger anyway, as Smaug would like a word with all the dwarves. This was dwarf land though, and by rock and stone, if there's one thing dwarves are notorious for, it's their hot forges. Heating up the long abandoned forges takes some work, but I don't believe I can be killed here, so it doesn't take me long to have everything in working order. It won't take too long, as a combined effort of pulling down the heat under the dragon works wonders, and he is beaten. For about 2 seconds before he flies off to Lake Town to destroy it in his fury. But that's not our problem, as that's in movie 3, the one not in this game. The Dwarven Kingdom is ours, and that's what we came for, so I say mission success. Huzzah! After 5 hours, 47 minutes total, 4 hours, 49 minutes in our last run, and only 1 death, we've beaten Lego Hobbit without dying. The game was quite giving with hearts, and it's far easier to beat trolls in this game than in Lord of the Rings, which made survival far more likely. Thank you all for watching. I truly hope you had a good time. I'm off now to run for a while, because if there's anything this game has taught me, it is that stamina and cardio health is everything to surviving adventures. That and friendship. But let's be realistic with what I can work with. I'll see you later, and I wish you the best. Happy adventuring!